Greetings and salutations, good people. It's your boy Nashan. I'm here with HT, the light bulb of higher thought, and you are watching Lessons in Deeper Wisdom.
You know, I always appreciate the crowd. Like, okay, y'all, listen, we know y'all love the show. Okay. Listen, God.
Okay, we are going to have to talk about that because people are going to start to think you need Thorazine or something, bro. I'm just saying, we gotta.
They're just, you know, it's the crowd, man. I really
it's the crowd.
I appreciate our audience. They always give us love, so you know.
Well, they do a lot. They do a lot. That's for sure. Yeah. That's for sure. So okay, we are back with. Well, an interesting topic for me today. I'm very interested in this because this is a question I had when I was very young, and I've always kind of been curious about what this means. So today we are going to talk about the existence of evil. What does that mean?
Yeah, that's
we don't go light here. We go deep.
I mean, yeah, it is deep. I mean, when you're looking to define evil, that's.
Well, it's simple but complicated, you know, and I think it's only complicated because we complicate it. We make it into something, you know, super difficult to, you know.
Well,
decipher.
We are the ones who created the world, not us specifically, but we, as in humanity, are the ones who created the word
and the concept.
So yeah. So I mean,
well, how do you define evil? What do you define it as?
I would define evil. If I had to, I would define evil as a force or emotion or a thought process that makes you act out in a negative way or think in a negative way or be. It's a low level. I wouldn't even say animalistic because I wouldn't even put it that far. It's just to do things for nefarious reasons. It's very nefarious type. It's a very, because I don't even want to say negative because negative doesn't mean evil to me. You know, it's just
exactly.
It's like
it's simple but complicated.
You know, it's the opposite of doing something out of the kindness of your heart.
Okay, well,
I mean, you could call it the opposite of love.
Can animals be evil?
I feel like that would depend on the state of consciousness.
Do animals have a conscious mind, though?
They're conscious enough, but
so you think they're conscious enough to be evil or not?
There are. You would have to. Okay, well then, are they doing something negative or bad?
See, now we're getting into these really interesting definitions that are way too simple.
It would have to be, I don't know, it just depends on, I guess, what it is that they're doing or the way that they're acting. Why? What is the motive behind them doing what they're doing or acting the way that they act?
So let's say
if there is a motive, but are they conscious enough to have that type of motive?
But that's what I mean. Are animals conscious though? So like, let's say you have this beautiful, you know, mommy and daddy gazelle, and they make this beautiful baby gazelle, and this beautiful baby gazelle is just the cutest little thing in the world, and they're hopping along the plains in Africa, and everything's all good, but the baby's a little slow, and then all of a sudden this lioness comes out of nowhere and snatches out the baby gazelle, snaps its neck, and drags it back to its den for its cubs to feed on. Is that lioness evil?
First of all, I will say that sounds like a great episode of Animal Planet.
It's been on Animal. Well, I don't think they can show that on Animal Planet. That's mostly for kids, ain't it?
I
mean, I've seen it on YouTube and whatnot, but I don't think they get that graphic. Anyway.
Yeah, but would I say that's evil? That lion is evil? No, it's called I'm hungry. It's called I have to survive. It's called that's the way that that's just their nature. That's nature.
Okay,
it's not evil. That's nature.
So can nature be evil?
I feel like it might. I could be wrong in saying this, but it could be someone's in someone's nature to be evil just because that's the way that they consistently are, to the point where it becomes a part of them, so that it now is it's in their nature to be evil. But like it's kind of it's weird, man. That's weird. That's weird. No, scrap that.
See, and that's why we're having this conversation today, because it's a complicated thing. Even though it seems simple, we like to throw that word around, evil, like, oh, that's just evil, you evil, all that kind of stuff, without really defining things. And part of the goal of this show is to define things, or help people, help our listeners and ourselves to define things. So I have a very specific definition of evil.
Okay, while you give, I'm gonna do one of my favorite things to do my Google.
You gonna Webster?
Yeah,
Webster it,
because I want to get their definition of what evil is.
We gotta include Webster in the conversation when we talk about definitions. That's a rule.
All right, so profoundly immoral and wicked. Okay, we can bring morals into that. Profound immorality. I love that. Profound. So evil, a profound immorality and wickedness, especially regarded as a supernatural force. A manifestation of profound or morality.
Amorality.
Yeah, and wickedness, especially in people's actions. Something which is harmful or undesirable.
Like I said, even Webster's got kind of loose with those words.
They are, and I'm not very fond. They love this profound word.
Well, because it's more than normal. But okay, so here's my definition of evil, because I don't go with the whole morality thing, because the morality of a society is determined by the society itself and changes depending on which society you're in. So, something in a warrior culture, like, with the Spartans, not like the movie, they were very brutal to their children and to themselves and to anyone else who crossed their path. So, they believed in, the warrior way of looking at things and killing that which was not fit or that which opposed them. So if by their standards, brutalizing children and killing people was normal. That was just how things were, and that wasn't amoral. In fact, your morality was uplifted by your ability to kill people. Whereas now, you murder people, and they consider that, terrible. But if you're a soldier and you go and you kill in the name of your country, then you're good. So it's too loose of a term. Morality is too loose of a definition to really kind of lock down what evil is.
Morality is subjective.
Exactly. And it fluctuates because of the fact that there's no fixed definition.
Because everybody has their own morals.
Right.
What you decide is what you decide. That's your moral code.
What's moral here
might be different.
What's moral here in America is different than what's moral here over in Ghana or in Ukraine or in Yugoslavia. It depends on the society. Now, my definition is a little bit more, I guess, specific. Evil is choice. The choice to create harm solely for the purpose of creating harm. Not for any higher purpose or any goal or rationalization.
Just to
do
purpose,
harm.
Yeah, you just doing this also. You just like this.
Exactly. Destruction for destruction's sake. Now, by that definition, I don't believe that any animal can be evil, because nature is about processes.
That may be true, but there are some people who would argue differently, because when they come home and the dog, their partner's dog or friend or whoever dog, roommate's dog that they don't like, then came and ripped up all their homework, and
that's
now they
not destruction. That's not destruction for destruction's sake. That is the animal being lonely and like, y'all didn't take me out for a walk, so I'm about to poop in your shoe and tear up your
subjective.
homework.
That little evil dog tore up the house.
The dog can't make a choice. Animals cannot choose. They rely purely on instinct and emotion.
So then, are serial killers evil?
Serial killers are evil because they choose. There are people who have mental disorders, who are sociopathic or who have psychopathic tendencies, who choose to go get help and they get drugs and they get this other thing to try to help, and they get therapy and everything else to try to work that out so that they don't become a harm to society. There are people who don't feel like the rest of us, but who understand that they're the problem and they're trying to get help for it, so they go out and they seek help. The ones who don't choose not to.
So those are the evils.
They are choosing evil. Again, evil is a choice. If you decide to do harm to someone simply because you want to see them suffer, that is evil. And that has nothing to do with society's laws, morality, or rules. It's simply like, according to, morality, if you allow someone to make a choice that is going to bring them harm and you don't warn them, you have no real responsibility to warn them. But if you choose not to warn them, you are choosing to watch them suffer, and because you want to enjoy it. And that's evil.
Fair.
So for me, it's really just about what have you decided. And so only, in my estimation, only humans can create evil.
What do you think in your mind, or to you in studies, whatever, where does evil come from?
Evil is, okay, there are two forces that I consider to be the overarching forces in the universe. There's the force of creation, and then there's the force of entropy. Entropy slowly erodes everything and eventually destroys everything. Creation is constantly growing and becoming more. These are energetic vibrations that we choose to align ourselves with or not. We are the balance of both. Our human bodies are both growing constantly and changing, and also being destroyed by bacteria and things that live within and on us. So we're that in that balance. By choosing to do evil, we are choosing entropy. We are choosing destruction. And that choice aligns us with energetic forces that are entropic. We destroy.
I would agree. In a way, I would describe it as, I get the visual. It's kind of like walking into a store that sells nothing but choices of energies to express.
Yeah.
Right? And there's this one section that says, do not enter. And you decide, you know what? I'm going to enter just out of curiosity. You enter, you go behind the curtain, you go into this room, and there's nothing but a screen and a big bright red button that's covered that says press at your own risk. And as you look at the screen, a video plays of what will happen after you press that button. And you decide, I'm going to press this button anyway.
Yeah.
You chose to do that and take whatever, like as you say, destruction. It was a choice of destruction.
Yeah.
You knew what was going to happen. You knew that it was not going to be good. You knew that there was nothing good coming from it. They wouldn't help anybody. It would only hurt someone else, and possibly even you at some point. And you decided to press the big red button.
Right. And that's the choice. We try to absolve ourselves of responsibility that, evil is just something that happens. No, it's not. Evil is a choice, either through action or inaction. We create it. By allowing evil people to do evil things and not opposing them, we allow it. If we choose to do evil things that we know are not going to help, but to bring harm to others out of selfishness or greed or whatever else, then, we are creating it. So to go back to the animal thing, like you talk about hunger, there are people who are hungry, okay, who decide how to satiate that hunger. You can either work your butt off and, do the hard thing to make money to eat, or you can say, you know what, I'm hungry. I really don't want to work. I'm going to take what you've made. So I'm going to rob this guy down the street. I'm going to hit this old lady in the head and take her purse because I don't want to work to eat. So I'd rather take your earnings. That's a choice. And we try to absolve ourselves and say, well, I didn't have a choice. Yeah, you did. You could have worked at McDonald's. It sucks. Okay. I know from experience, it sucks, but you could have chosen to work there. You could have, done what was necessary to get yourself cleaned up.
You could have, but and I also feel like a lot of times in those instances, sometimes it's it could be a way of some people not being able to see a way out. You know what I mean? Even if like, yeah, I could work at McDonald's, but then it's like, well, I applied, I didn't get the job.
Apply at other jobs.
It's very easy to see no way out.
Well,
it's very easy to see no other option. So if you're consistently looking into the darkness, what do you think you're going to find?
Exactly. But again, whether or not you look into the darkness is a choice.
That is a choice. It is a choice. At the end of the day, it is a choice.
For the record, there is and this is I bring this up when people tell me how hard their life is here in America, and and how difficult things are. There is a guy who decided he was a student in Africa, and they live in a village where there are no roads. There's just dirt. They have next to nothing. They get international aid to have desks and books and things like that so that they can study past the age of 6 years old, so that they can learn things. They invented a battery that runs on pee.
That's amazing.
Now, understand what that means. That means that someone had to have the idea that, you know what, we don't have any damn batteries around here. We can't run enough power. We need some batteries. And how are we going to make, you know what? Let me find out if pee works.
Urine battery.
You know what I mean? And they figured out how to make a battery out of pee. That means they tried everything else that they had resources for and couldn't find anything else, and they didn't stop looking. So when people tell me, oh, well, I didn't have a choice. Yeah, you did. You just didn't like the choices.
But we got a pee battery. How have I never heard about the pee battery?
Because it would destroy regular batteries. Not to mention, people don't like to play with pee. But if you don't have a choice.
But we all pee.
Exactly.
We all urinate. Okay. Ladies, don't act like you don't.
You know what? We're not going to go there. Not with the ladies.
So I don't, some people feel like this, but no, like we all, no, but in all honesty, we all.
But that's the point.
It's recycling. And
that's the point.
Recycling waste.
And it's natural. The issue I have is what it comes down to is the choice. These people, who give up so easily, because they're like one of the things that the Marine Corps taught me is that there are words that don't exist. Impossible and can't are not real words. They're words that people use when they don't want to do the hard thing. And doing the hard thing is the only way to achieve something that seems impossible. And that's a decision, a choice to simply say, despite the fact that I've had all these setbacks and all these mishaps and nothing seems to be working, I'm not going to give up. It's a choice to not give up and give in to the entropy that says, rather than go out here and work or invent or create or go cut lawns or go do odd jobs and ask people if you can take the garbage out for $5 or whatever, rather than do all that and humble myself, I'm just going to go ahead and do this dark thing. That's the choice. Because people don't want to humble themselves and say, you know what, I got to, rather than just go out and stand in front of the store and be like, look, I got to ask. I need a couple bucks, to get by. Begging is not evil. Begging is a humbling thing, but it's better than hitting somebody in the head and taking their stuff.
Oh yeah, a lot better. But yeah. I mean, there's a lot of ways you could go with that in the opposite direction, but yes. I'm just saying. Yeah, no, I agree. I'm with you.
Choosing creativity over entropy is the choice between good and evil. Am I doing something that's going to create something, or am I doing something that's going to destroy something? That's the decision. And evil literally comes from the consequences of those choices that every single human makes.
So then, and this then just makes me think it's just a matter of the mind.
Mm-hmm.
It's all a matter of the mind, of what your willpower is and what you're willing to put that willpower towards.
Thoughts are things.
Thoughts are things, and so whatever you direct your thoughts at, that's just going to grow and manifest, right? And especially it's into an action, and especially if you're hungry, right? You in a state of probably fight or flight. Your nervous system's probably going crazy. I need to figure this out right now. So now your body's in an entirely
instinctive. It starts to become, your instincts start to take over. Like don't get me wrong. I don't separate the fact that we are animals from this choice. We are animals. So just like that lion had to choose between starving or eating, we have to make those same choices. And that same primal urge comes from hunger. Same for us as it does from that lion. But we have the ability to choose how we make that manifest. That instinct is the push to go find food, to go make money, to go, get a better house or whatever. That push is in us. How we make it manifest is our choice. That's the choice we get to make that the lion doesn't get to make. The lion just does. We choose. And that's the difference between us.
It's almost like we could seek to find in those moments the higher thought.
Exactly.
Famous book.
Shameless plug.
But yeah, because it seems like at that point you're kind of in your lower mind.
Yeah. Animal brain.
Yeah, you're in your lower mind, and when you're in that lower mind state, it's almost like you jump down into a pit and kick the ladder over.
Well, we at that point, when you devolve into thinking with your animal mind, then you're absolving yourself of the responsibility of your choices, which is it's something you can't do. You're still responsible. It's like, let's say you get angry. Every single person on this earth has gotten angry at some point. What we do about our anger is different. Some people will be like, I got angry. I'm going to get up and walk out of this room because I'm not trying to do anything that's going to, or say anything that's going to ruin relationships. And some people get angry and they throw the TV across the room.
They let evil take over.
Well, and that's what I mean. It's a choice that people go like, well, I was angry. That doesn't absolve you of responsibility or the fact that you made a choice. If you felt like you were getting angry, you get to choose what you do about it. You can get up and walk out, or you can say, I ain't no punk. I'm gonna pull out this gat. You know what I'm saying? I'm about to pull out this heat. Yeah. You want to play? We gonna play. Let's go. And then when you end up in prison for the rest of your life, you're like, wait, how did I get here? This is unfair. Yeah, it's fair. You made a choice. You decided that your anger was more important than rational thought. That your anger was more important than the rest of your life.
So this. And I don't want to get too deep into this because this will definitely lead into a whole different conversation, sidetrack, and then viewpoints for not us, but people in general, because this ends up being a hot topic. When we talk about evil, a lot of times it's brought up in a religious context.
Now you're talking supernatural evil.
Yeah. And so, I mean, and I'll separate religious and spiritual, because to me while religion is a type of spirituality, when I
religion can be evil too.
It can be because at that point it's just religion to me just puts you, it gives you a mindset, a frame of mind. It constructs your thought in a certain way. It's almost like if you go downtown to your nearest downtown and you look at all of the different buildings and the way that they're built, they're all probably built differently. So you could look at each building as a different religion. Yeah. It has its own type of people in it that do specific things for that building, whatnot. I think that's enough to explain that concept. But they all have their own basis for where evil comes from, or what evil is, or who evil belongs to.
Yeah.
And it's very interesting. It's like,
that guy.
Yeah,
he did it.
That guy did it, or this made me do it, or convinced me to do it, or this energetic being.
It's the devil.
The devil, or whatever you want to label, whatever the being is, you want to label it, depending on the religious institution. And it's always interesting because it always a lot of times seems like it again takes away blame,
absolves people of the responsibility again. And don't get me wrong, people love that. Anything that says it's not your fault, that you didn't do it, they love that. They think that that's great. I'm not responsible. It was this force that is off in the ether somewhere. It's in this hell place. So that made me do it. I'm not responsible. I can't. How could I possibly be responsible?
You can say, yeah, it's this force that's out there, right? Maybe you could look at it like that. I mean,
if you want to absolve yourself of responsibility, yeah. I mean, but
you
if
can
you're
look at
being
it
honest,
as something being out there, right? It's as just being an energy. And
does it exist? Yeah,
everything does. As everything,
thoughts are thoughts are things.
Yeah, but I think we have to take a closer look at how we interact with the non-physical.
Okay.
And our thoughts and how that is connected. Because
absolutely.
I feel like there's a lot of disconnect in a lot of the things that we entertain and believe. That kind of places a distance there to where it's something we look at and feels like influences us against our will.
Well, yeah, absolutely. Like I said, one of my favorite movies is this movie called The Usual Suspects. And in there he says, this guy says flat out, the greatest trick the devil ever pulled was convincing the world that he didn't exist. And that's real. There is a force out there that is evil, that is destructive for destructive's sake. Okay,
but that's his job,
right? That is its purpose. It is there to destroy everything. It
has to exist.
Exactly.
Because if there's a force that creates, there has to be something that destroys.
In order for there to be balance,
you have to have that. You have to have both. You have to have all. You can't pick and say, "Oh, okay, I want some of this, but none of that."
Right. You can't have one without the other. That's the balance of forces and the harmony of the universe. So, don't get me wrong. That force does exist outside of humanity. But again, whether or not it interacts with this world is our decision, our choice. We get to decide how closely or whether or not we interact with that force. If we are choosing to do evil things, we are choosing to align ourselves with that entropic force, with that evil. The evil exists. Now, do we give it a name sometimes? Sure, we give it all kinds of interesting names in order to blame other people or other things other than ourselves, to absolve ourselves of the responsibility of, I did that. Okay, you cannot tell me that the Catholic Church has not done evil when they invented torture. Okay, you can't do an evil thing in the name of good and then call yourself good. You have to acknowledge what you are.
So I have a question. I have my own answers that I answered in my head.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I would give it, if you want me to go first, you go first, doesn't matter. Do you think it's possible to eradicate evil or have a world without it?
Now, I want to hear your answer on that one. I want to hear your answer on that one.
My quick answer was no. My short, sweet. My quick answer is no.
No.
I don't think so. I think it will always exist in some form or fashion. I don't think you can eradicate it. I think it will always be a part of a society somehow. I feel like you can create a society. I don't think at this point, I don't think humankind is capable currently. I don't have faith in humankind to be able. I don't. I'm sorry. I don't have that level of faith in humankind right now where we are. I think we are very, 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 very far from living in a world that doesn't have.
I don't think we should.
What would we learn?
Okay, and think of it from this perspective. When you play Monopoly, can you play Monopoly alone? It's a competition.
It is a competition.
Because if you everything you land on you buy, and then you have you own everything, and then you land on it but you don't pay yourself, what are you doing? Nothing. You're not playing the game. The game inherently is competitive, which means there must be an opposing force. Thus, the nature of the universe is that there is creative and destructive forces, and they are in opposition to one another because they are the balance and the harmony of those forces. We as humans are not supposed to be all quote unquote goody, goody, goody. We're not supposed to be all good.
I don't think it's possible.
Well, no, because we are the balance of those forces. That we would have to be something other than
And that's
from
why
this
I
universe.
think we are so far removed from that. So to become that, we would end up being energetic like bodies.
I don't think that we can. There's no such thing as something that is purely creative and not have an element of destruction. Even if you look at nature, the trees that grow will literally destroy everything that we've ever built over time. Nature will win. It will tear down every house. It will blow up every nuclear reactor. It will destroy everything that we have ever built at some point.
And be just fine.
And be just fine.
Which I think is amazing. I actually really like that about
and understand, all the while, there are plants who will devour other plants. There are plants who will eat insects. There are insects who will eat other insects. There are animals who will eat other animals. There will be this balance of creative and destructive forces the entire time.
Yeah, and it's funny because it's the way that we as humans treat the planet. It's like, y'all do realize that Earth will get rid of y'all and treat y'all like roaches and call the Orkin man.
Well, people talk about we're going to destroy the Earth. No, we're not.
No, the Earth will destroy us before it lets us.
Long before.
You can live in that pipe dream fantasy all you want.
The Earth will be just fine. We won't.
Nature will happily be like, oh, okay. But how you gonna do me?
But I'd like to amend my answer, because I do believe that we can eliminate what we call evil simply by coming to an understanding that there is a need for destruction from time to time. So that would be the story.
You know what? That was nature's answer. That was pretty cool. I don't know if you guys heard that, but the thunder just thundered right at the end of that. I hope the mics picked that up.
Yeah, there's some flashes going on behind you.
It was a nice little rumble. It was right on time. Nature be naturing.
Nature be naturing. Ooh, nature be naturing, man. But that's what I'm saying. Is like, we have to understand that we have to come to an understanding that destruction is necessary. When people talk about there should be no warriors, there should be no soldiers, we need a world without soldiers. No, we don't.
It's natural to have that.
Exactly. The soldiers are required for survival. Okay, there was a place that I worked, and I won't go into too much detail because I still work there. But the individual that I spoke with said that this facility did not need security. It's a 300,000 square foot facility with all kinds of people from all over the community coming in. You need some level of security, and they didn't want it to seem like a place that needed security. And I'm like, that's
everywhere
like saying,
needs some form of security. It's not necessarily.
That's like saying I want a house, but I don't want it to seem like a place that needs doors. You know what I mean?
You have to have some kind of. That's on every level.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mentally, you have security. You guard yourself against negative thoughts, right?
Yeah.
Spiritually, you have security.
Well, not everybody.
What you should.
You should.
You should. Physically, you have security.
And not everybody. No, there are people who walk around here thinking I shouldn't have to learn to fight because I don't want to contribute to violence.
You have to be able to defend yourself against an opposing force.
You mean violence can happen to you without your permission?
Absolutely.
I didn't know that.
Non-violence attracts violence.
Here's
You're going to attract the opponent. That's just what it is.
Well, I had this conversation with somebody just the other day about the United States. They were saying the United States is terrible and this and that. And I'm like, understand something. Every country on this earth does something evil. Every country on this earth does evil stuff.
The U.S. is really good at it.
We are very good at it.
Like we might be. We could,
we could teach classes
for real.
We could teach classes, and we do, on how to do really, really messed up stuff. But understand that is a necessary part of having a country. You don't get to have a country if you don't understand that sometimes dirty deeds need to get done. Every country that has not done that does not exist anymore.
Yeah, because the ones that do overtake.
Exactly.
Destroy. That's what they do, because your lack of defense or inability to defend yourself against a larger force as such
The moral high ground does not save you from, spies.
No, there's
and
no
slings
morals
and
when it comes to that.
It's like Bo of the Fifth Column. He's got a YouTube channel. Great guy if you really want to follow news. He says that he calls it the poker game where everybody's cheating. So it's like that's the world stage. It's the poker game where everybody's cheating, and you have to understand that that's the nature of it. It has nothing to do with morality. It has to do with power.
All is fair in love and war.
Well, and that's again, when we're talking about evil. Now let's get back to the whole supernatural thing. That is a force that is out there in the universe, and sometimes it needs to get utilized. Okay, if you are not necessarily for, destruction and evil are two totally different things on a supernatural level. That destructive force is there and can be utilized. What you utilize it for determines whether or not it is evil or not. If I am utilizing this destructive force to stop something evil that is happening, or to stop something bad that's going to happen to me or others, it's like a gun. I can shoot the person who broke into my house, who's trying to rob me or kill my family. I'm not an evil person because I'm not using it for evil. I'm using it to defend my people. Now, if I break into someone's house and decide I'm just going to shoot everybody in the house so there's no witnesses,
that's evil.
That's evil. That's a choice.
And welcome to halftime. Give yourself and your mind a moment to rest. Take a slow, deep breath in through your nose. And slow, deep breath out through the mouth. Focus only on your breath. Take another slow, deep breath in. And another slow, deep breath out. Feel better? Good. We want to take this moment to thank you for listening and watching this podcast. We hope you take something positive from it. Make sure you like, subscribe, and comment your light bulb moments. We also want to thank one of our biggest sponsors that make this podcast possible, Podcastic. Check them out at podcasticlife.com. Back to the wisdom. And see, and this is where sometimes I have a problem with the phrase power corrupts.
Power reveals.
And it's that. Because it's not necessarily that power corrupts. Everybody's got some kind of power. Mm-hmm. But how you use it and what you use it for is completely different.
And it's a choice.
Yeah, in the same way with money.
Yeah.
People who have $1 billion, you know what I mean? They're going to live a completely different life than somebody who doesn't. But how are they living that?
Exactly.
What exactly are you doing with that $1 billion? How are you spending it? How are you using it? Now, it's your business. That's what you do is what you do. But the lifestyle that you live with it and how you utilize that money is different.
Well, it reveals what you are. And the issue that people have is that a lot of times they don't like the revelation when they achieve power or they get wealth. They don't like the revelation. They don't like who they become, and they're like, "Well, I don't know what this. I don't like what this money is doing to me." The money is not doing anything to you. It's showing you who you are. The lesson is: am I evil or not? Am I making good choices or am I making evil choices? Those decisions are yours. And when we're talking about supernatural evil, we're not talking about a force that forces you or pushes you to do a thing. It may tempt you because it may be the easier path. It may be the path that is the most satisfying, but it is not making you do it. You always have the choice of whether or not to do it. The choices may suck. If you get involved in a criminal organization and they say, okay, well, we're about to do this thing, we're going to kill everybody in the building, including the women and children and whatever else. And you're like, I can't do that. Well, then you're making a choice. I'm either going to die here because I won't go through with the plan, or I'm going to do this evil thing. The choices suck, but you still have a choice.
You do have a choice, but choices do suck there. And now I'm thinking about, okay, well, when being in situations like that, when you're being presented or I guess tempted by evil, And then it becomes more a matter of, all right, if you could, some people might, all right, if you could tempt it with a certain level of evil, the person will be like, nah. But then the evil goes, well, if I told you it's easy and you'd get away with it, does your answer change?
Yeah.
And is when things I feel like get very, very.
That's when it gets revealed.
Yeah.
What are you?
Yeah. And that's that, like, when you say, like, oh, I don't like what this money's doing to me. It's like, well, you just had the power and ability to do something that if you didn't.
You wouldn't have done it.
You wouldn't have done it.
And you wouldn't have done anything bad to get it. But now that you have it and it's easy.
Yeah, it's easy to do and you get away with it.
Yeah.
And you think that the universe doesn't see you. Because I think at that point I myself lean on universal law, right?
Me too.
And so I felt like at some point, I mean, yeah, that's gonna bite you, maybe if that's the way you view things, you know what I mean? Because if you feel like it's compromising your morals, if you have morals, you feel like this would compromise your morals because you're already identifying what that evil is to you.
Well, even if you don't have a quote unquote moral reason, but like it just feels wrong, where you're just like, I mean, we kind of know when we're doing something shady or we're doing something dirty, when you're going to screw somebody over. It's like, you know when you're stepping over that line. This person doesn't know that I'm about to do this to them, but I'm about to do this to them. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
You kind of know, like,
you know, and it's like, but then if it's gonna be easy.
Well,
get away with it.
But the universe aligns. It always aligns.
That's the bite back.
Right. And when you put that out there, it comes back. And that's what I mean. When you're making that choice, you're aligning yourself with a energetic vibration. And if that vibration is destruction, then you are sending that vibration out into the universe. It will be reflected back by the universe and it will come back to you. Not because the universe is punishing you, but the universe is saying, this is the energy you're aligned with, so this is what you receive. Now, if you're aligned with creative forces, then you send out creative good things, and good things will come back to you. Not because you're being punished or given anything good or bad, it's because that's the force you align with. And that's the part that people don't want to take responsibility for, that the spiritual and supernatural aspect of things are always in effect, and the score is always going to be 0. You're going to send a 1 out, the universe is going to send you back a 1. Okay, you send out a 6, the universe is going to send you back a 6. It's always going to balance back to you and your choices, and you have to understand that whether you're talking about that on a basic fundamental level in the mundane universe, or if you're talking about the supernatural level, you align yourself with messed up things, disturbing, ugly things. Guess what? These disturbing other things are going to manifest in your life, and you shouldn't be asking why. You chose this. You want to do dirt, you want to do evil, you want to take advantage and hurt and cause pain to people. Then you have to understand the nature of that is that the universe will align and bring that back to you and reaffirm that that's what you're going to be. You will benefit from it and continue to benefit from it. And you'll wonder, why is the universe rewarding me for doing all this evil stuff? Because that's what you're choosing. And it will eventually lead you to a place where you will pay for all of those things that you've sown.
So, taking that, how do you feel or think about what I would call ignorant evil?
I don't think there can be. You're either, when you do something evil, it's a choice. Now, if you realize, like, I did something harmful by accident, that's a totally different thing. There's no evil there. That's just, I screwed up and I did something bad. Then the choice comes, how do I fix it or do I not fix it? If you know you did, say for instance, and this is a bad example, but this might be a bad example, but say you go to a store and you're buying a bunch of stuff, and you leave the store and you realize, I took some stuff, my hands were full and I put some stuff in it and I put it in my pocket and forgot to pay for it. Okay, you can either choose to go back and pay for it or not. Now, that's not necessarily evil, but let's say you do that at your friend's house You're goofing around with something that they found very important that you wanted, but they wouldn't let you have, and then you accidentally put it in your pocket or whatever, and you realize when you get home, oh man, I took his thing.
So it could be a matter of at that point in time, I either made a mistake or I lacked the knowledge to know that what I was doing
Was wrong. And then comes the choice. Once you know, then what do? When you know better, do better. And if you gain that knowledge, then you get to choose. Am I going to do the evil thing or the good thing?
They probably.
They approve.
They approve. I do too. I'm with them. That especially that when you know better, you do better. And I think that's
not mine. That's Maya Angelou.
I mean, yeah, that's just a great way to kind of sum up, not evil, but the idea of, okay, is this evil or not?
Well, the choice
is what I did evil or not?
Yeah.
It's like, okay, well, were you aware? Yeah. Yeah. You knew better, so you should have did better. Well, so now do better.
Yeah. And that's the choice. When you decide to do better, when you're like, man, I screwed that up. That was terrible. I shouldn't have done that. I'm never going to do that again. Then you're choosing to step away from that darker force. But if you go like, you know what? It wasn't my fault. That was my dad. He wasn't around. Or, my uncle, he hit me when I was 12. And you know what? This girl, she hurt my heart. So I'm just, whatever, all women or whatever. When you choose to absolve yourself and not take responsibility, then you are choosing to continue to do evil. And you will continue to be aligned with that. And you will continue to reap the results of that. It's always a decision. The devil can tempt you, but he can't make you do anything.
Ever. It's never a force to do, make to do. You always have a choice of.
My favorite line is, I had no choice. There was no other way. I had no choice. Sure you could. You had a choice. You could have just said, nope.
Yeah.
Not doing that.
And sometimes it's okay not to have an answer and not do until you have an answer.
Exactly.
That is okay. Just so that the people know that is okay to not know in the moment and say, you know what, I'm gonna sit this out until
I know what I'm doing. Yeah.
Because I don't want to make the wrong decision. I don't want to do the wrong thing. I don't want to. You know what I mean?
If there's a choice between good and evil and you don't know which one is which, don't do nothing. Wait, get more evidence, do some more investigating, figure this shit out. Yeah. Don't do the whole, well, it was in the moment, I didn't have a choice. Yeah, you did. Well, I would have lost the opportunity. Then lose it. If it's
not really an opportunity.
You know what I mean? If it's not clear as to what it is you're doing, if you're screwing someone else over and you're screwing someone else over, if you're hurting someone else and you're hurting someone else, then you have a choice. Well, I couldn't help it. It was my job. You can do other jobs. There are other jobs out here.
That is fair. I mean, because a lot of times, and I mean, I know you being military, I was following orders.
Oh, yeah. You don't even get that. You don't even get that excuse in the military. There is literally a line in the UCMJ, the Uniform Code of Military Justice, that says you are not allowed. You are required to not follow illegal orders. So if your commanding officer says, I want you to go shoot up that busload full of kids, you have to tell him no. You are required by the UCMJ to tell him no. You're not allowed to do that, even in wartime. And if he has a problem with that, well, then he can write you up or whatever else. But you are not required to follow illegal orders. And so this is a whole excuse that people have of, well, I didn't have a choice. The world made, my boss said, or, my family. I'm sorry. Sometimes you have to take the hit and do the thing that is unpopular, but is the right thing to do.
And I guarantee it's going to feel so good after.
Oh, no, it's going to suck.
No, it's going to suck. After it all blows over, you're going to be like, I'm glad I made that choice.
You will.
And that's
at some point, yes.
And that's what will feel good. Like, okay, that's the healing moment of, okay, I'm glad I actually went through that. I'm glad I actually took the hit. Right. I would have rather have taken the hit than because a lot of times you'll see what the consequence could have been.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of times that's that moment where you realize, yeah, the consequence is worse than the hit.
Well, yeah, and sometimes here's the hard part, and this is the part that people don't get. They're like, why do there's so much evil in the world? Because evil is easy. It's an easy thing to do.
That's do the easy. Is it easy and get away with it?
Right. Yeah. Do the selfish, self-centered, give me, greedy thing. That's easy to do. Being a good person is difficult. It's difficult to override your instinct for selfishness and greed and the want to be territorial and to take over other people's stuff or to hurt other people to get what you want. It's easy to fall into that and be like, well, that's just how the world works, or that's just how I am. You know what I mean? But it's hard to be a good person to say, you know what? I choose not to be that person. I choose to act with a certain code that is my code. No one told me what the code is. I'm choosing this code. I choose to do the good thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And align myself with this good energy.
So I often think that evil, how can I phrase this? Because I want to make sure that the concept is right. Because in the world that we live in society, it's almost like fear and evil are used together a lot, so that people we have an idea of what evil is to us, right? If everybody has their own idea of what evil is, but a lot of times fear is used. Our own fears are used to project evil or fear evil, if that makes sense. Like, we want to perceive something as evil. We'll use something that's perceived as evil to entice fear or raise fear in people.
Oh yeah.
So
they're easier to control.
Yeah, it's a very, very high level of control too, because now you're preying on the minds of people, which again is still a choice on the people who have the minds. But you use fear and evil together. Like it's almost like creating a two-headed dragon, two-headed monster, or whatever, something that people would consider evil, and bring up this level of fear to where now it's like you bring up that level of fear and like, now, nope, that's evil, that's evil, that's evil, because you've taught them to fear it.
Well, yeah, I look at it from this perspective. People like to control other people out of fear. They fear lack, they fear powerlessness, so they control other people in order to feel powerful, to have the illusion of power, because power is not power. What most people consider to be power is just an illusion. You can't control anybody who doesn't let you. So they use these techniques to control people, and this fear of evil, that if you don't do the right thing, evil will come and get you. If you don't do what I tell you to, evil will come and get you.
It's the boogeyman,
right? And they create these straw men for you to be afraid of in order to control you, because it talks to the animal brain. Be afraid, and therefore override logical thinking, and don't use your own power. So then, if I can make you afraid of evil, and I blow evil up into this big powerful thing, when really it's insubstantial, it's not real.
Yeah, but that's where you get into the giving away power to evil, to where you say, all right, well, this evil thing, being, idea, whatever, made me do.
Well,
or this evil is controlling, or it's overpowering. I can't do anything about it.
But it's using your power. That's the point. Here's the thing. They said it in this one Republican meeting a while back, where they said that, basically the 99% are what the 1% fear. We hold all the real power in this country. The majority of us who are regular, don't have a ton of money, living our lives, going to the supermarket people, we control all commerce in this country. We control all political power in this country. It's us.
If everybody in this country, if we all if there was one central idea or whatever we didn't like,
we can eliminate it in a day.
If everybody said, you know what, we're going to protest today in our way of, not protest, boycott, excuse me.
Yeah.
If we decide, you know what, everybody, you get the majority of the country to boycott one thing,
that thing is done.
One day, it's over.
And that's
completely over. It all falls down.
And that's the real power. But they trick people into believing that, hey, your neighbor is evil. That guy who lives next door to you, who's just as poor as you, who doesn't have any of the things you don't have, he's really evil. He's the bad guy.
But now your defenses are up.
And you're defending yourself against someone who's not attacking you. You're defending yourself against someone who's actually on your same side, because you're both broke. You're both suffering.
You're in the same position.
And that is the nefariousness of evil, to manipulate others. That is people in positions of power using our own fear to commit sometimes evil acts. There are the truth of evil is that it has no power other than that which we give it. It has no power. The truth of fear is that it has no power other than that which we give it. Now, there are things to be afraid of, getting killed and whatnot. But generally speaking, you know what? That's not the end of everything anyway. So death, we are going to die. It's just a matter of when. So if you eliminate that as a threat, there's really not a whole lot else people can do to you. And that's where this whole, illusion comes from. Evil it works almost entirely on the fear of it. Most people are not capable of or have the ability to do truly evil, terrible things and without consequence. The 1% can't wield power over us unless we give it to them. And that's the issue. We give it to them.
Consistently.
Exactly.
So here's another thing. Let's go a little bit out there.
Okay. I like out there.
Let's go a little bit out there. Are you a Marvel fan at all? Do you watch any
Of
Marvel?
course. I watch all the Marvel stuff.
Is Thanos evil?
Yes.
How so? How so? In what way would you say Thanos is evil?
Because his however good his intention may have been, he chose to execute his plan in a way that was evil, by taking away the choices of other individuals and by destroying half of the population of the universe, not because he couldn't just double the resources, because he could have just doubled the resources and continued to double the resources as long as it was necessary to sustain people. He could have made it so that people are less hungry. He could have made it so that resources are more efficient. He could have done all kinds of things to make it so that people didn't die. But the easiest way was just to kill half the people.
Did he know that?
Did he know?
Did he explore that within himself, or what is it?
No, because in his arrogance, he believed, I'm right and no one else is. He would not listen. If there's a conversation he had with his daughter, who flat out told him, who put you in charge? Why do you think you're the only one that knows this? He's like, I am the only one. I'm the only one with the will to do anything about it. AKA, I think I'm right, so screw everybody else. I'm going to make this decision for all of you. That is when it became evil. If he had decided that this taking a life is taking all of their choices, taking the entire future that they would have helped to create, taking the contributions that they would have made to the universe away, and on top of that, it's hurting everyone who loves them. It's causing pain to everyone who cares about them. Eliminating a life, taking a life, is a profound thing, which is why we classify it as evil. So for him to do that on a grand scale, on a universal scale,
on the scale,
okay, and not to even be open to the idea that he might be wrong, therein lies the evil, arrogance. It's the same as you have right now. We have this whole political thing going on with people getting, upset with the other side. If you are not able to sit down with another individual who believes something differently and maybe have be open to the idea that your mind might get changed, then you're wrong.
But see, not a lot of people have. But see, that's where you get the arrogance. That's where you get a lot of pride. Where I would say for even myself, like, yeah, there can be a lot of thoughts that I'm very rigid in, or I feel like I know or whatever. Like, no, like I'm sticking to my guns on this or that or whatever. But at the same time, I actually like to be proved wrong.
So do I.
I welcome it. I encourage, and sometimes that's why I can be a little bit, to some people, it seem like I would maybe be a little bit more direct or very forceful in my thinking or to get my point across, is because I'm actually putting it out there to be challenged.
Right.
Because I could be wrong.
Exactly.
I could be wrong. And so I would rather stand firm in my stance so that, okay, if I am wrong,
show me.
Please show me.
Yeah.
Please show me. I want to knock the foundation of that thought away that it was built on, so that now it can be rebuilt the proper way. Because maybe I'm missing something. Maybe there's a perspective that I haven't seen or haven't witnessed or haven't been a part of or haven't thought about. But it's a lot of times just that challenge of growing and learning. Okay, well maybe I'm not right. Maybe I'm not.
Well, that's called humility.
It is, but a lot of times a lot of people don't. Some people, I'm not gonna say a lot of people. Some people don't have that humility, and I think that like when you get to Thanos, maybe he doesn't have that humility, and maybe having that humility,
arrogance
would actually benefit. But now he has all the power. He has the power of the universe,
and it revealed
in his hand
who he was.
And it just it just blew it up.
Well, he told the truth in Endgame. If you watch Endgame, he tells the truth. I thought I could, eliminate half the population, and people would be grateful. But you've shown me that I need to, the people aren't going to be grateful. They're going to rebel against it. So I'm going to strip this universe down to its last atom and rebuild it from scratch. He's like this thing I'm going to do. This thing I'm going to do to your little world. I'm going to enjoy that, because the truth is, he was evil. He wanted to destroy. He liked destroying, and he wanted people to praise him. And I'm gonna go deep for you. I'm going back in the day. I'm gonna go deep dive for all my Star Trek fans out there. There's an episode that they explain this on in Deep Space Nine, where Gul Dukat, who's a Cardassian, bad guy, has Captain Sisko, who's injured, on this planet together, and he's basically like, he doesn't understand why the Bajoran people, who he occupied their planet, they occupied their planet for 50 years, torturing and murdering Bajorans. He doesn't understand why they never erected a statue for him. Because it could have been so much worse if he hadn't done all these things to protect them from, the worst aspects of the Cardassian people. They could have killed more of them. They could have wiped out the whole population. But no, he just wanted them to be tortured and turned into slaves. They should be grateful to him. They haven't erected a statue or anything. And the truth is, when it finally gets revealed, when he finally gets told the truth, and Sisko finally pushes him, he says, I should have killed them all. Because that's what he really wanted to do. But he wanted to feel like, I'm a good guy. That's what true evil is. It's the deception of self. When you believe that, when you get down past all the illusions that we say to ourselves, and you get down to the truth of why you did a thing, that's when you can determine whether it's evil or not. Because evil comes from within. We choose it. And you can paint it up with all the religious, paint you want to, or dress it up with, all the, I'm trying to be a good person stuff you want to. But if ultimately your intention and your choice is to do harm, then you will do harm. You just color it different and call it something else.
Yeah, and I feel like those are your true evil villains. Because I do feel like there are villains who I wouldn't say are evil. There's actually a lot of villains who I agree with. They go about it in the wrong way. Don't get me wrong.
Again,
they go about it in the wrong way.
I know who you're talking about.
There are some villains who I agree with.
Killmonger. I know where you're going.
I mean, I do agree with some of it. I think what it is for me is just personality wise, I kind of want Black Panther to be a little bit more like Killmonger.
I don't disagree with you on that. He needs to be a little bit more raw.
Yes.
Okay. And don't get me wrong. I don't disagree that sometimes I'm a warrior, so I believe that sometimes violence is necessary to solve a problem. You know, people say, "Oh, with violence is never." Yes, it is. Sometimes you need to hit somebody in the head with a stick, okay, in order to get them to stop doing something terrible. And if you don't, then they will keep doing that terrible thing.
Yeah, but it's that fiery,
right?
That burn, that passion that's in there. I do like that. But
you got to be willing to cross swords.
But again, that's just great characters.
Exactly, it's good. It's a good development.
Yeah, so I appreciate it. Or even, you know what? Outside of Marvel, I actually like the Joker.
No, bruh.
I love the Joker.
You lost me on that one.
I like the Joker. He's
a great villain, but he is evil, bro. He is. Yes, he believes in destruction and chaos for the sake of destruction and chaos because he thinks it's amusing. The Joker is truly insane.
He is. But what I like about the Joker, is that he often speaks the truth.
He does.
He speaks the truth, and he
speaks the truth according to him.
But he's not really. A lot of the times he's not.
You didn't watch The Dark Knight, did you?
Not really wrong.
You didn't watch The Dark Knight.
He's not always wrong.
He's not always wrong, but he is. But here's the thing: when you bet on human instinct to override human capacity for choice and to choose compassion, you're more than likely going to be wrong. Because people talk about how terrible life is right now. I'm like, we are in the least violent time in our history as human beings. We have been horrible to one another for thousands of years.
It's actually kind of scary how non-violent we have been, because our capabilities to be more violent have grown immensely. To where we can do a lot of destruction,
but we choose not to,
and we have chosen not to,
because we understand that how much destruction we can do.
Yeah, like when I was reading about, I think it may have been the one of the atom bombs, or how they construct the atom bombs, or nukes or whatever, and they had bombs that could destroy the Earth multiple times.
Oh
over.
yeah,
and it's like, excuse me, you have something that can destroy the Earth 72 times over?
Yeah.
What? Why?
Because
how? That is wow. That's a form of power to dangle over somebody's in somebody's face and say, "Hey, we've got the bigger gun."
Well, it's more like when you have real power, it eliminates some of those minor animal fears. Okay, if you walk tall and carry a big stick, you're not afraid of what you're doing when you're walking down the street. What are you gonna do? You gonna walk up on me? I got a big stick right here. You can come get some if you want some, but I'm not worried about you. It's sort of, I tell people all the time about martial arts training. But training in martial arts and learning how to fight is not about wanting to fight people. It's about understanding that I have power and I can defend myself, so I no longer need to be afraid of you. Okay, when you learn how to take the human body apart, it eliminates a whole lot of fear about life. Okay, about what could this person do to me if I walk in this room? You're not worried about it because you're like, you know what? You walk up on me, I'm going to make sure that you remember me for the rest of your existence. Okay, and that's the power that comes along with understanding martial arts. So then you're less prone to have a fear-based reaction to something, an instinctive reaction to something. Thus, you get to choose what you do with it. Now, don't get me wrong. There are people who learn martial arts and they choose to do dumb stuff with it. They hurt people because, well, now I have power. But again, that reveals what you are. If you are a person who chooses to do harm, who chooses evil, that's in you. It doesn't matter what method of power you obtain, it will reveal itself. So when you get someone who's felt weak and powerless their whole life, and then they get into a place of power, they want to inflict upon others the evil that they have felt inflicted upon them. So you put them in a business suit and give them a title and have people with guns, listen to them. They're going to do evil things with it because that's who they are. And that's what they've learned is the way to live. Like I said, like we were saying before, power, money, whatever reveals. And whether or not you choose to be evil is it doesn't matter whether you're, some street thug breaking into somebody's house or you're sitting in the Oval Office. If that evil is in you, you're going to reveal it. You're going to choose that darker, evil, destructive path.
So you're kind of being put in the split in the road. You're being put in the split in the road. It's the fork in the road. One path's a little bit darker.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes a lot a bit darker. Some people like playing in the dark. Not one of those people, but yeah. That being said, I think we have to get ready to get up out of here.
What?
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
It's been an hour already.
Yeah, it's been an hour.
Okay. All right. Well,
our hour is here.
We have to do the final
thoughts. Final thoughts.
Okay. Well, understand, and if I had anything for people to take away from this particular episode, is I want you to take this away. Evil is a force that is in the universe. It is a natural destructive force that exists. Whether or not you choose to align with it is always your choice.
I would say it's easy to choose evil. It's harder to find the higher thought, but I promise that road is a lot better
for everybody.
Yeah. For everybody. I know that's pretty cliche. That's pretty cheese.
Cliches come from somewhere.
But it's evil will always tempt you. Don't be the one that tempt evil.
You tempt that, you'll find out.
Yeah, don't be the one that tempts evil. So I'll leave it at that. I guess this is our toodles, our goodbye.
Oh.
Yeah. Well, till next time.
Well, we're going to keep coming back.
Yeah, every week we'll be here to see you guys because we love y'all.
Wait! Before we go, we got to do that homework thing, or the housekeeping thing that we do. If you are a fan of the show and you want to share the show with other people, we are on Facebook. You're probably watching it on Facebook or listening to the podcast. Make sure that you share and like and subscribe the YouTube show so that we can grow our audience and get more people into this rabbit hole that we've all decided to go down. If you're listening to the podcast, make sure that you share that with other people so that they can get their lessons in deeper wisdom as well. I am Nashan. This is
Higher Thoughts.
And you have been watching Lessons in Deeper Wisdom.
All right, folks. Think higher and follow the light bulbs. Peace.
Peace.